We back this time with full auto Knight of the Lake. I feel like this boss used to be harder to get min score on, but I guess I really shouldn't say anything lest I want to anger the RB side overlords. The minimum score to get to is 12k and we will do our best to reach that. I've got two setups to show: a budget team made up of farmable units, banner units, and units available through the new player selectors, and an invested team for those with more resources. Let me show you what I got. I'm gonna be real with you guys. I honestly think you only need about 4 to 5 units to take this boss on to get minimum score with even these mods. Now, speaking of the mods, I am running the minus DP mod, but that's because I have an extreme amount of TUs that most players might not have, or maybe they do. But if you're having issues with TUs, just take that off and then everything should work out for you. But like I was saying, you only need about like 4 units. Push this boss to here. Now that is a tanky Maria, right? That's tank Maria. That's why she's able to sit there and tank these hits. That's a 130 ship, so it is, you know, it's able to take some hits too. But the main thing is that as long as Amina does not pass the boss, right? She doesn't deploy too quickly so that after the jump he's behind the boss, then you're good. Amina can carry the rest of this fight all by her lonesome. He really has a hard time killing her. And you'll see Xiaolin and even Ifrit, even though we have HP degen on mechs, that really just doesn't matter. I just kind of threw them in because they are farmable units. They came from a selector and they can do damage. And that's all they're really there for. You could just sit there and run some more buffers, you know, buff Amina, make Amina great again, or you can toss in some awakens. Up to you. And it's actually kind of funny because I was looking at this and I thought Amina was going to be, you know, top because she did like half the boss's HP, but nope, Rivet did the most damage. The budget team, we are running Chorus as a ship and Kim Hana as the operator, though you can use Kami or any damage ship for your ship choice. For gear, on Orca we're actually just going CDR here. If you do decide to up the HP mods, you will need to actually switch her over to HP gear. For Rivet, honestly, any anti-tower, anti-ground attack speed, anything of that nature will work. As you can see, since she's 120 and she's buffed, I just only have the case on just for little ground res. Shinatsu, we're just going tanky CDR, usual standard for her. Maria can be substituted for pretty much any non-moving tower that it costs 5 or less, though I would sit there and put tank on it, and non-soldier preferably. Soyun doesn't really matter, she's just there for the buff to push phase 1 along. Yumina, anti-tower, anti-ground, damage gear, attack speed, attack. She is your powerhouse here. She's going to finish off the fight, so you want to put your best gear on her. Xiaolin is completely replaceable, but I'm just throwing her on here. Of course, any type of anti-ground damage, anti-tower will help out. And the same for Ifrit. Ifrit, you want to have any type of anti-ground, anti-tower, and again, he is also replaceable with anything that does damage. Okay, strapping. This fight's about 2 minutes long. It works out that Nayeli is quicker than Lijian, and the fact that she has Iron Wall really helps here. She's kind of hard to kill. And as long as we got a defender in front of Lin Jian's harder to kill. So we can actually use that to get a lot of DP. We actually, I believe we see her ulti maybe twice this game, this run, if I remember correctly. Now, we do need somebody back there to tank the boss's hits because this boss does, you know, his special does hurt. That's what we got Felix for. Plus, Felix sits there and tosses in a bunch of little soldiers, some frontline, and then she's got her super soldier that does have death pin. Now, Mordred here is going to definitely help increase our survivability on most of our units. But she also does damage. I'm running her on death pin so that we can push this first phase a little quicker. We are on a time crunch since we're playing on auto. And by that, I mean we need to get this boss phased. I don't want to say before Regina spawns. We do actually kind of want Regina to spawn because we do want her to walk up, and we do want enough time for our Hilde to be able to get to spawn and get in front after the boss jumps forward. Which this is kind of working out, and you want Regina about where, you know, Felix is, or a little in front of Felix. You don't want her where Mordred is when the boss faces. But funny enough, if the boss doesn't crit Regina every hit, she'll get pushed back, and that's, you know, that she'll get pushed out of range, and that might work out. But Hilde's going to come in here. She's going to be using her shields to try and survive this. She's a massive tank, lots of defense. And I'm not running ground res on my Chinatsu because I need my Chinatsu to die before Yang. That way she deploys. And honestly, I tried so many different healers to try and keep Hilde alive. But no, Chinatsu's just that ridiculously OP that she can sit here and keep Hilde alive long enough that our Regina can sit here and go to town on the boss. Now, she's not almighty. Unfortunately, the stun right here kind of, you know, or the knockup kind of sits there and puts us behind a bit. But hopefully, you know, we're on track here. We still got Felix, so she kind of spawns the front lines. Mordred just spawns, so we can actually sit here and blind the boss. And we just got to pray that we get some crits, and we don't get crits. And that's all she wrote. And since this is a, you know, team effort, Regina's definitely taking the top here, but Mordred put in that work for that first phase. For the invested team, we are running Quad as the ship, Sysop as the operator. For gear, we are going with tanky CDR on Lin Jian. For Nayeli, we are just going straight tank. You could use healing enhance, but I actually don't want to use that right here because I need her to die. Well, she probably actually doesn't die. Now here's the odd thing. See, I am not running tank CDR on her. I'm running just regular CDR. You don't want the ground res. You need Chinatsu to die before Yang. Yang is where you put the tanky CDR. She needs to live after the boss jumps into the middle of the map. Just until after Chinatsu dies, that way Chinatsu spawns first. Felix, we're just running CDR here. We want to sit there and spam some soldiers as much as possible for frontline. And then Mordred we have on death pin. You can use anti-tower, but I prefer death pin for this because this helps push the first phase. Mordred's not really going to get redeployed. She does for like a moment, hopefully for only a moment, but she doesn't really take much part in the second phase. But that's where Regina comes in. She's going to be doing all the damage in the second phase. The boss doesn't have defense, so we don't need to worry about death pin. We just sit there and stack as much anti-tower and anti-ground as we can. And then lastly, we have a Hilde with our quickest skill haste set that we can put on her. We need her to be able to get to her ulti as soon as possible, so hopefully that she lives long enough for Regina to take the boss down. Thanks everyone for watching. I hope this helps you get the minimum score this season. Honestly, I should read this man's story. I hear it's not bad. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're feeling extra special, you can join the Mage Institute by clicking the join button. You can catch me on Discord, link is in the description, and if you want to help support this channel, there's a link in the description for that too. As always, I will see you all next time.